Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Welcome to another lecture, and in today's class we are going to start with the drama that we have in our book, the name of which is The Bishop's Candlesticks. Now this play, this drama is written by Normal Macmillan. Now he was born as, he is not only an actor, but he's also a dramatist, he writes dramas, he's an actor, he's a playwright. He was born in UK in the year 1870 and he passed away in UK itself in the year 1932. Now this play that we are going to read, written by him, talks about the theme that kindness and goodness, these are the two things that can actually turn over any person, anyone, no matter how bad he or she may be, no matter how grey their past may be, no matter if, the person we are talking about is a criminal or anyone for that matter, if you deal with that person with love, affection, you are kind to that person, you are good to that person, then you can actually transform the personality of anyone and everyone with that sweet gesture of yours. Now this story that we are going to read about is, as the name suggests, about Bishop's Candlesticks. Now, who is a bishop? We all know who is a bishop. Bishop is the head of a church, is the head of an institution. And candlesticks. Now, if you people have been to a church, you must have seen that in the church we have candle holders in which the candles are placed before God. Okay. So, this story revolves around those candlesticks which belonged to the bishop. How did these candlesticks help transform a convict, a criminal, into a person with a changed personality, into a person who decided to leave all his, wrong ways and who decided to follow the path of truth and honesty, is what we are going to read in this play. So first, since it is a play, we ought to talk about the characters that we have. The first is the bishop. So the head of this, like I told you, the head of a church is known as a bishop. The convict. Convict here is a person who had run away from the jail and he had come over to the bishop. Persome, who was the bishop's sister. Mary, who was their house help. So she was this girl who would help them in the household chores. And then we have the sergeant of the gendarmes. So the sergeant is the police officer basically. So this story, like I told you, is about the candlesticks. Now what happened was, one day when the bishop came home late, now since he is a bishop, he has spiritual thoughts, he is a person who thinks good about anyone and everyone. He is extremely helpful to those who need his help. He comes back home late because their house help, Mary, her mother was ill and she wanted to see the bishop. The bishop went over to Mary's place and he prayed with, her mother. Persome has been depicted as a very overprotective sister. She knew that her brother was highly helpful and she also knew that if this way her brother will keep on helping people, then he will not have anything left over for them. Okay, because the bishop was in a habit of selling away his own things if somebody else wanted money. So such was the kind of personality that this bishop had. So Persome did not like that. She was very unhappy. She was very angry. So the bishop came over. Mary was told by the bishop that her mother was feeling better now and that she could go home and meet her. After Mary left, the bishop and Persome were alone and they had this conversation where Persome expressed her anger over bishop's way of helping people. The bishop, on the other hand, being such a kind-hearted man, he felt that if the people remembered him in their hour of need, in their difficult times, then he considers himself to be luckier. Now, after Persome went to her room in order to sleep, a convict entered the bishop's house. He had run away from the jail and he was very, very hungry. So he asked the bishop to give him food. Now, Persome, knowing her brother's habit, she had, she was used to locking all the cupboards before going for sleep. So she did the same. The bishop called her and she saw that the convict actually had a knife in his hand and she was very scared. Now when left alone, the convict and the convict told the bishop the reason why he ended himself in the jail. He told him the reason why he actually became an animal, why he became such a bad person, and why was he a criminal now. The bishop told him that there's always a way to look back in life and to mend whatever mistakes you have done. He told the convict had a slight feeling towards it. He took it positively, but then the convict saw the bishop's candlesticks. Now these candlesticks were very dear to the bishop because they were gifted to him by his mother on her deathbed. So he did not want, to depart from these candlesticks because they were the sign of last memory that he had of his mother. So the convict saw those candlesticks and he thought that if he would sell those candlesticks, he'd get money and that is going to give him food and shelter for a few days. So he stole those candlesticks and ran away from there. Unfortunately, he was caught by the police, he was brought back, and to the police's surprise, the bishop, rather than saying that he stole my candlesticks, told the sergeant that I gifted these candlesticks to him and he is my friend. Now the moment the convict saw such goodness being bestowed on him, such goodness being showered on him that he had not seen for the past many, many years, he actually decided and he actually realized that there still were very kind and very nice people around and that he could give another chance to his life and he could mend his mistakes and he could make himself a better person. So this was the overview of the chapter, but obviously we are going to read it. Every word and every line is to be explained to you. So let us start reading. Alright, the first scene. The kitchen of the bishop's cottage, it is plainly but substantially furnished. Doors, right and left corner, window, right corner, fireplace with heavy mantelpiece down, right oak settee with cushions, behind the door, left corner, table in window, right corner with writing materials and a crucifix, 8-day clock right of the window, kitchen dresser with cupboard to lock down left, oak dinner table right corner, chairs, books, etc. Winterwood scene without. On the mantelpiece are two very handsome candlesticks which look strangely out of place with their surroundings. So, the writer has first given us the description of the room, of the house of the bishop. He tells us that the cottage of Bishop, the small house that the Bishop had, the kitchen of the same is being described. It is plainly but substantially furnished. It was very plain, it was very simple, but it was substantially furnished. Substantially furnished means whatever required things, one needed in the kitchen, they were all there. Okay. So it did not look anywhere that, there were very little items which were available, or that they were very poor, or they were very impoverished. Nothing was evident. It had everything that one needed in the kitchen. Then we had doors. On the right, R refers to right, L refers to left, LC means left corner. There was a window in the right corner. There was a fireplace with heavy mantelpiece down right. Now, what is a mantelpiece? If you would have seen in the movies or in the pictures, when we have a fireplace, there is a whole showcase kind of a thing around it, okay, which is used for decorating. So, there's a fireplace in the middle and all around it is basically a showcase. So, that is a mantelpiece. So, there was an oak settee with cushions. Settee, we all know, is, something that can be used by you for sitting. So, there was a settee which was made of oak. So, it was made of the oak wood. It had cushions on it and it was behind the door. Now, there was a window table. In window, RC with writing materials and a crucifix. Now, what is a crucifix? Crucifix means a cross. Christians, the Catholics, they have a cross in their, in their houses. So, there was a crucifix, a wooden crucifix that could be seen. There was an 8-day clock right of the window. Now, what is an 8-day clock? Now, this is a clock that needs you to, like you've seen, there are a few things that, that require you to string them. There's a key and you're supposed to string that key, and then once you string it, it is going to unfold itself. We have seen a few toys also which are made for the kids. So, you have to key it and then they will start running or whatsoever the purpose may be. So, this is the clock which was made with such a feature. So, there was a kitchen dresser. Kitchen dresser means basically a cupboard which was put in the kitchen so so as to put the crockery or whatsoever needed. And there was an oak dinner table, a dinner table made of oak again. There were chairs, books, there was a winter scene, there was a scenery. On the mantelpiece are two very handsome candlesticks. Now, on that mantelpiece, one could see two candlesticks which were very handsome, means they were very beautiful, and which looked strangely out of a place with their surroundings. So, the candlesticks were so beautiful that they did not suit the surroundings of the house. The house was very plain, like we just read. And those candlesticks were very fancy, they were very beautiful. So, they did not match with the surroundings well. Mary and Persome discovered Mary stirring some soup on the fire, Persome laying the cloth. So, as the scene opens, one could see Mary and Persome. Mary was stirring the soup on fire. Stirring means to move. When we cook something, we have to stir that continuously. So, Mary was stirring the soup on the fire. Persome was laying the tablecloth. So, she was putting the cloth on the table. Persome asks Mary, Mary, isn't the soup boiling yet? That is there no boil in the soup as of now? Not yet, madam, said Mary. Well, it ought to be. You haven't tended the fire properly, child. Tended means managed. So, the Persome asked Mary if the soup was boiling. She said that no, it wasn't. And very politely, you can see that she's used the word child over here. So very politely she told Mary that it ought to be, it should have started boiling by now. I think you have not lit the fire properly. The fire has not been managed by you well. But madam, you yourself made the fire up. Mary replied that, ma'am, it was not me who lit the fire for the soup, but it was you who had made it, who had lit it. Don't answer me back like that, it is rude. Persome told Mary that please don't answer me back like it. You don't have to do it because it looks very rude, it looks very, angry, and it is very disgraceful. Okay. Mary says, yes, madam. Then don't let me have to rebuke you again. Rebuke means scold. So Persome says, good, but please make sure that you are not giving me any chance to scold you again. No, madam. So Mary says, okay, I won't do that. I wonder where my brother can be, looking at the clock. It is after 11 o'clock and no sign of him, Mary. So Persome, she looked at the clock and she wondered. Wondering means to think. So she started thinking where her brother could be. It was after 11 o'clock, means the time was more than 11 o'clock at night and there was no sign of him. She did not know about her brother, about the whereabouts of her brother. So she asked Mary, she called out Mary, and Mary said, yes, madam. Did Monsieur the bishop leave any message for me? How do we pronounce this word? We call it Monsieur. Now, Monsieur is used for my lord. If there is somebody who is very elder to you, both in age as well as the position, we use the word Monsieur for them out of respect. Okay. So Mary was asked by Persome that did Monsieur Bishop leave any message for me? Did he tell you where he was going? Was there any message that he left for me? Mary said, no, madam, he did not leave any message for you. Did he tell you where he was going? So Persome further asked that did he inform you where he was going? And Persome said, yes, madam. Now Persome started imitating. What do we mean by imitating? Copying someone. We have observed that so far Mary has only been replying in yes and no. So yes madam, no madam, yes madam, no madam. So Persome got irritated with that and she imitated her. Yes madam. Then why haven't you told me, stupid, that if you know where my brother is and if you can see that I am worried for him, why did not you tell me? Madam didn't ask me. And what did Mary say? That I did not tell you because you did not ask me. But that is no reason for your not telling me, is it? Persome said that even if I haven't asked you, that is not a reason for you not to tell me where my brother is. You can very well see that I am worried, I am anxious about my brother, so you ought to tell me where he was. Madam said only this morning I was not to chatter, so I thought. So Mary said that this morning only you told me that I was not to chatter. Chatter means to speak continuously or to speak a lot. So, Persome had told Mary that she was not supposed to speak so much, and so Mary says, I thought that I shouldn't speak anything, I shouldn't tell you anything. Persome says, ah, mon Dieu, you thought? It is hopeless. Mon Dieu means my God. So Persome was like, oh my God, you thought? You have the brains to think? It is hopeless. I don't expect that from you. I don't hope that from your end. Mary says, yes, madam. So again she had the usual reply. She said, yes, madam. Persome says, don't keep saying yes, madam like a parrot. Nincompoop. Nincompoop means stupid. So Persome calls Mary stupid and she says that don't keep on repeating yes madam like a parrot. We all know that a parrot will always repeat what you speak. So she said, please don't do that. Mary said, no madam, okay, I won't do it. Persome asked, well, where did Monsieur say he was going? So she asked her, fine, now tell me, where did my brother tell that he was going? And Mary replied, to my mother's, madam, that Monsieur the bishop had gone to visit my mother. To your mother? Indeed. And why? Pray. So Persome got very angry again and she said, to your mother's? Indeed. That, oh, now I understood that he's gone to your mother and that is why you did not tell me. So, and why? Pray. Why has he gone there? What is the reason that my brother is out at night? And what is so special about him meeting your mother today? Mary replied that Monsieur asked me how she was and I told him she was feeling poorly. Feeling poorly means she was not feeling well. She was ill. So Mary said that Monsieur asked me about my mother and I informed him that my mother was not feeling well, that she was not feeling very healthy. Persome says, you told him she was feeling poorly, did you? And so my brother is to be kept out of his bed and go without his supper because you told him he was feeling poorly? There's gratitude for you. So Persome said that you told my brother that your mother was not feeling well. Because of you, my brother, rather than being in his bed at such late hours, is out of the house. He has not had his supper. Supper means the evening meal. So Persome said that my brother hasn't had his evening meal just because you told him that your mother was not feeling well. There's gratitude for you. Gratitude means to be thankful to somebody. So sarcastically, Persome said that I want to thank you for this. You are so good. You thought about my brother so much. So I thank you for that. Mary said, madam, the soup is boiling. So in that, in the meanwhile, the soup had come to a boil and Mary told Persome that it had started boiling. Persome said, then pour it out, fool, and don't chatter. Mary about to do so. No, not like that. Here, let me do it. And do you put the salt cellars on the table, the silver ones. So Persome told Mary that if the soup is boiling, then pour it out. Put it into the soup bowl, you fool. And don't chatter, don't talk to me. Just put the soup into the bowls. And when Mary was about to do so, when she was about to pour the soup into the soup bowl, Persome said, no, not like that. This is not the way to do it. Here, let me do it. So she said that you leave it. I am going to pour the soup into the soup bowls. And what did she ask Mary to do? She told Mary to put the silver salt cellars on the table. Now, what are the salt cellars? We've seen salt cellars are the two small, containers which we have salt and pepper in, and we use it to sprinkle the salt or pepper over something, right? So, those are the salt cellars. So, Persome told Mary that I will pour the soup and you set the silver salt cellars on the table. Mary asked, the silver ones, madam? That do you want me to put the silver salt cellars on the table? Persome said, yes, the silver ones. Are you deaf as well as stupid? So she said that yes, of course, I've already told you that I want the silver salt cellars on the table. Are you also deaf? Is there some problem with your ears? Can you not hear me well? Mary said, "They are sold, madam." So Mary told Persome that the silver salt cellars you are looking for have been sold. Persome becomes very horrified. She becomes very, angry and very worried. And she said, "Sold? Sold? Are you mad? Who sold them and why were they sold?" So she just could not imagine those silver salt cellars being sold. She asked Mary twice, that sold? Are you mad? Have you gone mad? Who would sell them? And why would somebody sell those silver salt cellars? Mary said, "Monsieur, the bishop told me this afternoon, while you were out, to take them to Monsieur Gervais, who has often admired them, and sell them for as much as I could." So Mary told Persome that this afternoon, while you were out, so while you were not there at home, the bishop told me to take those silver salt cellars to Monsieur Gervais. So this is the name of the person who had bought those silver salt cellars, who has often admired them. To admire something means to find something very beautiful, to find something very good and very attractive. So Monsieur Gervais had always found those silver salt cellars to be very beautiful. He always wanted to have them. So she said that bishop sent me to him and told me to sell them for as much as I could. That whatever maximum amount I could get in place of these silver salt cellars, I should do that. This is what bishop told Mary. So Persome said, "But you had no right to do so without asking me." So Persome was still angry. She said that, "How could you sell those salt cellars without asking me? Who gave you this permission?" Mary with awe. Awe means surprise. So Mary was very surprised. She said, "But madam, Monsieur the bishop told me." So she said that when Monsieur the bishop told me to do something, how could I say no to him? He is the one more superior than you, and if he has asked me to do something, I have to do that. Persome says, "Monsieur the bishop is ahem, but what can he have wanted with the money?" Ahem means when you have no words to describe somebody, when you are so upset that you have no words to describe your sadness, to describe how disappointed you are with something. So Persome said that Monsieur the bishop is, but she could not complete her sentence because she was falling short of words. But what can he have wanted with the money? She said, "That is fine, but why did the bishop need money? Why did he want you to sell those salt cellars and bring money in return of it?" Mary said, "Pardon, madam, but I think it was for Mère Gringoire." So pardon means please excuse me for what I am going to say. Please forgive me for what I am going to say. But I think that money was for Mère Gringoire. So this is the name of a person for whom, this was a lady for whom the bishop had sent Mary to sell those silver salt cellars, and the money was given to her. Mère Gringoire, indeed. Mère Gringoire. What the old witch who lives on the top of the hill and who says she is bedridden because she is too lazy to do any work. And what did Mère Gringoire want with the money? Pray. So Persome again, the moment she heard Mère Gringoire's name, she got very upset and she said, indeed, I should have known it, that Mère Gringoire is an old witch. Now, who is a witch? Witch is a very bad lady, somebody who can control you using black magic and some powers. So that was according to Persome what Mère Gringot had done. She thought that Mère Gringot had done some magic over the bishop, and that is why he was helping her so much. So she said that Mère Gringot is actually a witch who lives on the top of the hill, who says that she is bedridden. Bedridden when at times you are so ill that you cannot get off your bed. You are so ill, you are so weak that it is very difficult for you to get off your bed. That is when we use the word bedridden for that person. So she says that Mère Gringot is a bedridden lady. Okay, she is somebody who is very smart, she is very cunning. She tells everybody that she is bedridden because she is ill. But the reality is that she is too lazy to do any work, that she is very, very lazy, and that is why this is just an excuse on her part so that she can just lie on bed. And what did Mère Gringot want with the money, pray? And once again Persome asked Mary that why did Mère Gringot want that money? What was her need for that money? Mary says, Madam, it was for the rent. The bailiff would not wait any longer and threatened to turn her out today if it were not paid. So she sent little Jean to Monsieur to ask for help, and so Mary says that it was for the rent. The reason why Mère Gringot wanted that money was because she had to pay off her rent. The bailiff would not wait any longer. Now, who is a bailiff? Bailiff is a person who, basically a judge or a custodian of something. So, the person whose house Mère Gringot lived in, he needed rent for his house. Mère Gringot had no money. So, the bailiff, that person who was the owner of the house, she threatened Mère Gringot. Threatened means he told Mère Gringot that if you will not give me the rent today, then I am going to throw you out of this house today itself. Now this thought made Mère Gringot very, very worried, and she sent little Jean. So this is the name of a child whom Mère Gringot sent to the bishop to seek for his help. Persome says, Oh, mon Dieu, it is hopeless, hopeless. We shall have nothing left. His estate is sold. His savings have gone, his furniture, everything. Were it not for my little Dot, we should starve. And now my beautiful, beautiful cellars. And it is too much, she breaks down crying. So Persome, after she heard that her brother had actually, sold her beautiful silver cellars because he wanted the money to help Mère Gringot pay her rent, she got very upset. She said, Oh my God, this is hopeless. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. We shall have nothing left. She said that there will be a day when we will have nothing left at all. His estate is sold. Estate means property. That whatever property the bishop had, he has sold it already to help people. His savings have gone. Whatever savings he had, he has spent that also. His furniture also he sold one by one. Were it not for my little Dot, we should starve. Dot means dowry. Starve means to be hungry. Okay. So she said that if we would not have, collected things for my dowry, then we would have suddenly become so hungry, we would have nothing to eat at all, and we would have died. Okay, so starvation is that condition where you haven't eaten anything for a very long time and you die because of it as well. So she said that had it not been because of the dowry that I have saved, we would have certainly died because of hunger by now. And now my beautiful, beautiful salt cellars. And then she starts sobbing. Sobbing means crying lightly. Okay, now not very heavily, but crying lightly. So she started sobbing and she said that now he sold my beautiful, beautiful salt cellars also. Ah, it is too much, too much. She said that this is enough. I cannot handle it more. And after she says this, she breaks down crying. She started crying very bitterly. She started crying like a baby. Mary said, Madam, I am sorry. If I had known. So Mary was obviously feeling very guilty because she was the one who had sent, who had actually sold those salt cellars. So she said that, Madam, I am very sorry. If I had known, if I knew that those salt cellars were so dear to you, I wouldn't have sold them. Persome says, sorry, and why, pray? If Monsieur the bishop chooses to sell his salt cellars, he may do so, I suppose. Go and wash your hands, they are disgracefully dirty. Persome says, sorry, and why, pray? So this is just a way of Persome asking Mary that what am I going to do with your sorry now? My salt cellars are sold, so how is your sorry going to help me? She said that if Monsieur the bishop chooses to sell his salt cellars, he may do so. That these salt cellars, this house and everything in this house belongs to the bishop. And if he wants to sell them, then I believe he can do it. Go and wash your hands, they are disgracefully dirty. She then ordered Mary that go and wash your hands because they were disgracefully dirty. Disgracefully means shamefully. This is just a way of saying that your hands look very dirty, they look very, very disgraceful, so just go and wash them. Mary says, yes, madam, and she was going towards the right. So, saying yes, she started going towards the right. In the meanwhile, enters the bishop from the center. Ah, how nice and warm it is here. It is worth going out in the cold for the sake of the comfort of coming in. So the moment bishop entered the house, now you can very well imagine that during the winters when you are coming from out, in the open it is extreme cold, you are actually shivering with cold, no matter how many warm clothes you've worn, you will never feel comfortable in them. But the moment you step into the house, it will make you feel so warm and nice that automatically the comfort will come along. So this is exactly how the bishop also felt. He said that, oh, how warm and nice it is in here, that the house, after I've entered the house, I'm feeling so warm and so nice. It is worth going out in the cold for the sake of the comfort of coming in. So he says that if you know that your home is going to give you this much warmth, it is going to give you this much comfort, then you actually can think about leaving your house, for some work. Because you know that ultimately you're going to return back to a place which is very warm and comfortable. So this is what the bishop said. Persome has hastened to help him off with his coat, etc. Mary has dropped a deep courtesy. So, the moment the bishop enters, hastened means very quickly. So, very quickly Persome went to the bishop to help him take off his coat and whatever things he wanted help with. And Mary has dropped a deep courtesy means Mary was feeling very guilty. So she was away from where Persome and the bishop was because she was feeling sorry for selling those salt cellars which were so dear to Persome and because of which Persome had cried so much. Bishop says, thank you, dear, looking at her. Why? What is the matter? You've been crying. Has Mary been troublesome? Shaking his finger at her. Ah, no, it wasn't Mary, but. So, Bishop thanked Persome for having helped him, and then once he looked at her, he asked her that what is the matter? What happened to you? You've been crying. I can see from your face that you've been crying. What is the problem? Has Mary been troublesome? Did Mary trouble you? Did Mary bother you with something? And then he started shaking his finger towards her. Shaking his finger, when you know somebody has done something wrong. So he started shaking his finger towards Mary. Persome says, no, it wasn't Mary, but. So she said that no, I am not crying because of Mary, but. So she could not complete her sentence. She could not tell the bishop the reason why she was crying before the bishop said, well, you shall tell me presently, Mary, my child, run home now. Your mother is better. I have prayed with her and the doctor has been. Run home. Mary putting on cloak and going. And Mary, let yourself in quietly in case your mother is asleep. So, the bishop told Persome that you should tell me presently. Presently means in a short while. That I want you to share whatever is the problem because of which you are crying with me as soon as possible. And in the meanwhile, he told Mary that my child, run home now. That go to your home, your mother is feeling better. I prayed with her. I went to her, I prayed with her, and the doctor has also been there. So the doctor has also paid his visit and your mother is feeling better. Run home. So he told Mary to run home. Mary started putting her cloak. Cloak means a coat, okay? Something you can cover your whole body with, an overcoat kind of a thing. So Mary started putting on her cloak and she was about to go. She was told by the bishop that let yourself in quietly, that make sure you are entering the house very quietly because if your mother is asleep, she might get disturbed. Mary said, oh, thanks, Monsieur. She was obviously very glad. She was very happy that her mother was feeling well. So she thanked the bishop. She goes to the door in the center. As it opens, the snow drives in. So she was going out. The moment she opened the door, the snow came in. So it was snowing very heavily. And the moment the door was opened, the snow entered the room. Bishop said, here, Mary, take my comforter and it will keep you warm. It is very cold tonight. So the bishop said that Mary, take my comforter. Comforter is a sort of a muffler that we wear on our neck so that we can keep ourselves very warm. So the bishop told Mary that please take my comforter. I'm sure it will keep you warm. It is very cold tonight. Mary obviously becomes very shamefaced. When your master, your boss is helping you out with something, is offering you something that belongs to him or her, you obviously feel a little awkward, you feel a little bad and guilty as well. So the same was with Mary also. She said, oh no, Monsieur. So she denied, she was not ready to do that. Persome said, what nonsense, brother. She's young, she won't hurt. So Persome told her brother that what nonsense are you speaking? She's very young and even if it is cold outside, it isn't going to hurt her. It isn't going to harm her. Bishop says, Persome, you have not been out. You don't know how cold it has become. Mary, let me put it on for you. Does so. There, run along, little one. So, Bishop scolded the Persome by saying that, Persome, you haven't been out. You don't know how cold it is out there. So, the bishop further told Mary that, wait, I myself will put my comforter around you. And he actually did that. And he then asked Mary to leave. And Mary exited from the room. Mary left the house and the bishop and Persome were left there. So my dear students, so far we've read that Persome got to know that the bishop had sold her very favorite silver salt cellars and she was feeling very sad and disappointed. When the bishop came back, he saw Persome crying and he told her to share her problem with him. In the meanwhile, he told Mary that that Mary's mother was feeling better now and he asked her to go home as soon as she could.